Of course, guys, you know me. I'm Mike Spider Slayer, Comic Book Corner 2.0. Today we got Brant Fowler on the show with me side by side.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
You know, we have a special guest, so we're going to introduce that guest right now. Brant, go ahead, kick it off.
Yeah. So we are happy to welcome, and tell me to get this right, Ruben Najera.
Yep, perfect.
All right, got it right that time. Welcome, Ruben Najera, to the show. Ruben is a writer, and this is your first writing gig, right? This is your debut.
I've been writing for quite some time.
Okay.
Before I got into publish with Archie and all that, I had done a lot of like extreme sports publications because in my 20s I was a skateboarder, and so I've done stuff for like EXPN 5-1s. I think I wrote one of the first articles for like the Olympics before skateboarding.
Oh wow!
So I was already doing like a lot of writing, and I've always written, but this is just like
your first comic stuff.
Yeah,
with comic.
I've done some indie comic stuff too, but this is like my first big Archie thing with them, you know? Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So yeah, you're going to share your story with us, how you got into all that stuff that you just talked about, which is a really cool and interesting story, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. But also you have the best Archie comic ever that is coming out in about a month. So we'll talk about that as well. So I think we're just going to kind of get out of the way and let you tell your story, and we'll chime in if we have questions and that kind of thing. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Firstly, Mike, I'm glad to see you're good, man, because I've taken my share of slams through the years. You know what I mean? So I get how gnarly that could be, but
I heard you were stunt guy, so that's a little bit more.
That's what I'm saying.
Me being bumbly and then fight, going into the door.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a tennis instructor. I'm a head tennis pro. And I get a lot of balls, to the face and to the body and stuff like that. But again, nothing compared to probably what you went through.
Well, I mean, shoot, I've had my share of injuries, and most of them didn't come from skateboarding at all, which is the funny part. They came from like other things, other stuff like on film sets or something has none to do with anything like a car accident. You know what I mean? Like something that. So yeah, things could happen at any whim, at any notice. Sometimes it's not even your fault, you know what I mean? Things sometimes just come out of the blue. So yeah, I feel you, man. I hear you. When I heard that, I was like, shoot,
it's just the stupid stuff. Yeah, like how you get hurt. That's what's horrible about it.
Yeah, actually, just before I dive into the story, like you're saying, it's the random stuff like that. Some people ask, like, one of my worst injuries was skating, and really, when I was skating growing up, I was always aware the goal is to land the trick, right? Not to get hurt or anything. You want to roll away. So I was always very like aware of what I had to do. And one of my worst injuries was actually I was practicing in a park in my hometown, El Centro, California. It was called Buckland Park, and there's this it's like this flat of cement, and then like this kind of Ramada building. And on the other side of a Ramada building, someone kicked a soccer ball in the air. And I was just practicing my tricks, getting ready for a contest. This is many years ago. And I had my headphones on, and I was just skating, minding my own business. And like I was kind of on a roll. I was like landing everything. I was like, heck yeah, And then like on one trick when I popped up, to have my hand in the air. And I couldn't hear it. And the ball, I guess, the person had kicked the ball from all over the top of the building. And the ball hit directly on my finger. Right. So all of a sudden I got this mass impact on my finger out of nowhere. And I looked at my finger and it's completely this way.
Oh, wow.
That's
crazy.
Right. And so I grabbed it and I snapped it back, like what, you know what I mean? Like, and it's things like that. Like I didn't like fall or anything. It's just like a total fluke thing. You know what I mean? And it's just things like that it's just wild, or like this past year, I've been dealing with a spinal injury because I had stopped at this is actually May 4th of last year. So Star Wars, May the 4th.
Yeah.
I was parked at a train. So a train was passing on a railroad and the two beams were down. I was the car in front. And I had just gotten that car too, a new car. So it's a Tesla. So it notifies you when things are like nearby and stuff.
Yeah.
I still hadn't gotten used to it. And so it started beeping. and so I edged forward because a beeping. I was like, "What's going on? Is it like detecting the metal? Like, what is it with like? Does the new car do that or what? Like detecting the railroad and the magnets or something?" So I edged forward, and it turns out it was a car behind me that wasn't slowing down, and it ended up being a border patrol agent who was on his phone or something, and he hit me full impact, and my car locked up, and my car saved. Basically, I'm here talking because the car saved me because it locked up. The only downside was since I edged forward, I hit the steering wheel full impact to my head, and I got a concussion. I was like, "Ow!"
Oh wow!
And the next thing you know, I wake up and like I kind of like pulled over to the side somehow, and the car kind of like autoed. I don't know. I'm still kind of talking crazy, but
yeah, like how can
ended
you
up on the
remember
side.
something like that anyway?
Yeah, and I missed the train. Like, I mean, the crazy thing is the car I had before that, the brakes weren't working properly. So, yeah, I wouldn't even probably be here, honestly. It was pretty crazy. This is like a year ago, and so I had to go through the whole thing, like my spine, my back, a bunch of MRIs and stuff. But stuff like that, you just don't expect those things. So, everyone out there, take care of yourselves. You know what I mean? Watch out.
Absolutely.
Always be alert. Sometimes it's not even if you're a good driver, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Doesn't matter. Or just little things. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. But yeah, got to be good, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy because like you said, you do like skateboarding, which can be really dangerous, and the stunt stuff as well. It's crazy that you get hurt outside all that.
Yeah, but I think it's just because when I'm skating, I mean, at least me, like I am like 1000% aware of what my goal is and what I'm supposed to do. So when I'm doing, I'm like, avoid that crack. Okay, that's right there. Or I'm gonna wait for these people to pass. All right, the car's gone. Now I'm going. So I think I'm so like on top of it that like I don't let the errors happen. But it's when you take your guard off of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like when you're not even like, and that seems to be like when you get the most jacked up. You know what I mean? It sucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I never really had any injuries like actually like skating. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty fortunate for that. But yeah, it's just other things. It's so wild, dude. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, sorry for that tangent, but I just
no, it's fine. Yeah,
never know. Like things like that happen. You know what I mean?
My brother used to skateboard a lot when he was a teenager. He's almost 30 now. When he was 14, he was he never had an accident, never fell or anything. This other kid threw another skateboard at him, and he fell and cracked his skull open. And it was a pretty scary thing at the time. But it's just crazy because he'd never had any kind of problems before that. So
yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff at skate parks, dude. Some horror stories. I've seen like everything from people who weren't supposed to be there, and a guy on a bike's coming, and they'll stick a stick in the spoke, the thing, and then the guy go flying. And you've seen a kid whip a scooter. Those little scooters are crazy, the metal ones, and they like jump up and it spins it.
Right.
It's pegged the dude in the face. Next thing you know, he's like bleeding. And it's like you see all these crazy things like through the years, like it's just like so gnarly. Yeah,
for sure. That's crazy, man.
It's crazy. But
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just so I mean, kind of spinning it back into how I got into all this. I mean, I've always been writing since I was. I mean, I could even take it back to before I was even writing, and I was just a kid playing with action figures. You know what I mean? And just building my own worlds and my own stories. And that's a form of writing, in my opinion. You're just creating worlds and world building. And that's seriously the number one thing I love about writing is that you can do like these $1 billion Hollywood box office productions and you can, you know what I mean? Sky's the limit. You don't need a budget. You can create it and write it, and you get a really good artist and they can make it a reality. And you can take characters to far off lands or create your own worlds, you know what I mean? And it's just so much fun in that, you know what I mean? I just adore it. I always have, and it's a passion. It's something I always did do it, and I've been doing it, and now to go full circle here and actually be writing for Archie Comics on this is a dream, because that was realistically the first comic book I ever actually like purchased.
That's a grant too.
Yeah. Because before that, I had my grandmother gave me like a hand-me-down Spectacular Spider-Man comic that was on like the dryer in the garage, and I still to this day don't know who it was, but it was super beaten. You know what I mean? And then when after that comic, when when I was like at the department store, my mom would be like to me and my younger brother, like, you know, pick one thing, that's it, nothing else. You know what I mean? Because the toys in the toy aisle were too expensive and so on and so forth. But in the checkout lane, you can get one thing, you know, where there's like a candy, something like that. And I always pick I remember seeing the Archie double digests.
Yeah, the double digest. Yeah.
Nick, I want that, you know? And so I knew by getting the Archie comic, you know, my brother would pick the candy. He'd eat the candy, he'd be done. And I'd have that book for like next week, the week after. I'd be trying to like trace the pictures. Like I got a lot out of it.
Got a lot out of that, yeah.
Same with me, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so many memories with that. And,
for sure.
I go really way back with that. So I've known about the Archie characters since I was like, you know, 6 years old. You know what I mean? At that time, I think the double digests were like $1.50, $1.25, something like that.
Yeah.
But they packed a punch because they came with a lot in those little things, you know?
And, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And just, I mean, at that time, you guys know, because we're all, you know, essentially probably the same age, but maybe the newer generation. I mean, back in the day, there was no screens in cars and laptops and stuff like that. There was no iPads and smartphones. So like literally like when you traveled or like went, like for instance, I spent a lot of my childhood in Mexico and crossing back and forth in that border, the US. And when you're in that line trying to cross back from Mexicali over here, you're sitting there for like 5 hours sometimes, you know? And like remember, there's no screens, there's no nothing. So I was in that book, like, you know what I mean? That was like my entertainment. Yeah, that was the iPad back in the day. You know what I mean?
You read, or you would draw, or you would do whatever, or you just stare out the window.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all you could do. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have a long history with it, and cool. Just come full circle, and on this book, it's the, you know, the best Archie comic ever. It's a one shot. Everyone's gonna enjoy it because first off, it's a one shot and it's like the most action packed Archie comic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it, but it really is like the most action packed Archie comic I've ever read. It's exciting. There's all kinds of cool things going on in it. And
hold on one second, Ruben. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna pull up pictures? I was just about to say that, Brent.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This way the audience can see what it is.
Yeah. So the best Archie comic ever. We got a really sweet team on it too, actually. So I get to work with Betty and Veronica on the story. I write a super spy tale that's in it, and it's called Operatives. And in Operatives,
is it this one?
Yeah.
Is this yours? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cover A. I freaking love that cover, by the way. That's the that's that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tim Seeley did the cover. Georgia Sposito did all the artwork for my story. So we were partnered together on this. And a lot of you may know Georgia from the Doctor Who comics for Titan. Mm-hmm. So she's the one that does a lot of the interiors for those. And she's the one that I was partnered with. And it's a super spy story. Think like the if you like all the femme fatale movies, like the Luc Besson films, or like, you know what I mean, anything like that with a female lead, just action packed. That's what this is. It's a cool story, and we have there's actually a first appearance of a villain in this book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Big Carp. So I got to create him in here, and he's like the mob boss leader. They got like these little fish hook insignias. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's my story that I got to write in there. And then there's also 2 other stories in here. One written by Fred Van Lent. Some of you know him from like the Valiant stuff. I think he did like Archer and Armstrong, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the artist on that one is Tim Seeley, which we all know Tim Seeley, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what did you do? Nightwing. He did a lot of stuff actually.
Yeah.
And they do the story that has the super Archie character that's here. And that story is called Once We Were Heroes. So that's Tim Seeley and Fred Van Lent. And then the other story that's in here is the one done by Jed Daugherty and Aubrey Sitterson, and that's the Jughead the Bulgarian. So it's like Jughead is like a Conan kind of, you know.
Yeah.
I love this cover though. It's definitely eye-catching, because if you sat there and you're like never an Archie fan or something
Yeah.
like that, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
you know, you're used to Archie just being like you said, Archie Digest in the stores or whatever, and you see this and you're kind of like, wow, this looks different, you know, so this would entice you to pick that up.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if I have shoot, did I keep it right here? Let me see. I actually bought the original artwork when I saw
really?
it for sale. Yeah, I was like, dude, this
Nice.
is my first published. Let me see if I got it right here.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's cool. All these stories sound really cool. I like seeing like when you take characters like that and do something completely different with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done that, you know, over the years with Archie, of course. And it's always fun to see different interpretations of the character.
What was the best Archie comic that you read, Brant?
Oh man, that's a hard pick. Oh, here we go.
Oh, hey, cool.
So I don't know if you guys catch it in the visuals here, but
Oh
yeah, so the original, the OA, right? The original art. So yeah, I just reached out to Tim. I was like, dude, I'm gonna buy it, dude. Because
that's really nice.
Collection forever. But yeah, this is obviously this is like inked, right? So Tim, and then he inked it, and then they obviously did the colors in. I think Matt Herms did the colors for this one.
Nice.
He did it digitally, obviously, but yeah, pretty cool, man. I love it, man. I'm gonna frame this bad boy, and it's gonna stay in my PC for life, you know.
Yeah, that's something that you don't get rid of. I mean, it's a project you worked on, so it's like, and you have a chance to get the artwork. That's pretty badass right there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, really nice. So you've been you know, I read that you were a comic fan and you had your own comic book store.
Yeah, so actually, and you know what? Actually, I don't think I've publicly said it yet, but we just got nominated for our second Eisner.
Oh, nice! Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Metahumans Comics. So this is our 7th year. On May 2nd, we hit 7 years in business.
Wow.
So yeah, so and it unfortunately the first year we got nominated for an Eisner was the year the pandemic hit, so we didn't get to attend the celebration because there was none. You know what I mean?
Figures, yeah.
But I don't know. With the world's getting a little better now. You know what I mean? Little by little, and hopefully that everything will change. Obviously, they're gonna bring back the convention, a lot of the big conventions, right? They're already starting to do that. But we've been around 7 years. There was no comic book store in our county. I know this sounds weird, but there's nowhere to buy comics before I opened the store.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 2 types of customers that would come in when we first opened. Either ones who have never touched or read or physically held a comic book in their life, or, people who hadn't had one for like over a decade and they used to collect. Wow. They had, you know what I mean? So it was really interesting, and I absolutely loved when we first opened because just people like they would come in there like I don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? So we were like curating and kind of building a community here with that, and yeah, we're still here. We're still moving. We made it through the pandemic. We did everything we had to do to adapt. All the online sales and.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, all the online auctions, we adapted. We did everything we had to do to stay open. You know what I mean? As a brick and mortar store, which is tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, we pulled through, and just really proud of the store.
That's great. How big is your store? Like, how many square feet is it about?
Well, our store actually was pretty huge before, but when before the pandemic hit, we kind of like we were still open, but it's kind of almost like we hibernated. We actually moved into a smaller spot. So our store right now, which we're still in, is actually a really small space. It's not very big. Actually have I had to fill out a sheet for the Eisner. I had to put the square footage on it. So I can't remember off the top of my head of our current spot. But if you look at photos like online, you can kind of see it looks just packed, but it's because it's not too large. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like my shop too, because my shop is really compact also.
Yeah, so it's small, but you go in and you're just like looking everywhere like, whoa, like it's just so much, you know what I mean? Even the posters on the wall make you feel like it's really full. But yeah, we just got comics, action figures, new comics, old comics, key issues, new figures, old figures, whatever's coming out, we got it. Whatever, we might have a vintage Ninja Turtles, we might have we've had crazy stuff in there. We've had like Amazing Fantasy 15 in there before, first Spider-Man, everything from that to like CGC graded books,
Mhm.
crazy 9.8s of stuff, and then just stuff that comes out on regular release. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just three, cover price books. So we're pretty all over the place. Also because we buy collections and stuff locally when they do come up. So it's always changing. You know what I
You
mean?
have
Nice.
online presence as well?
We do because we in the past we've done a lot of store exclusives. So with the store exclusives, I mean we've worked with Marvel, DC, IDW, Image, Valiant, Dark Horse, pretty much everybody you think of. We've done store exclusives with Dynamite.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
we've done all kinds of books through the years. With the pool of artists that we've had that have worked with us and stuff has been pretty incredible. We've had like Joseph Michael Linsner did our Batman cover.
Oh,
David Nakayama,
nice.
yeah, David Nakayama is a good friend of mine. He did our Nonstop Spider-Man, and he did our He-Man. We did a book with the one that Kevin Smith did. And actually, Kevin Smith signed a bunch of our a good amount of our books that we had for our Masters of the Universe variant, which that one actually sold out for us like quite some time ago. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, we've done a lot of stuff. I really like the Ninja Turtles one we did because the artist who did that cover is a friend of mine. His name's Dave Garcia. He did the original
Mhm.
Archie Ninja Turtle
Oh,
comic.
wow.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. I have that. I still have
Yeah.
that to this day, I think.
So
That's cool.
my roots with Archie run really deep because those are the
Yeah.
turtle comics that I read. The Archie
Right. Me
Turtle.
too.
Yeah, those Archie ones.
Yep.
Yeah, yep.
So that
Yeah.
first issue, if you remember it, it's the cover and some of the interiors, I think too. If you look at it on the label, it's Dave Garcia. He worked on those, and he's a friend of mine. And he's actually the only other individual in our entire county that is, other than myself, that's involved like in the comic industry to some extent somehow, And
Yeah.
back when he used to do the Archie stuff, the Turtles, and he also used to work on The Tick for a while as well.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
So he's a
That's
friend of mine. And when we had that shot to do that turtle book, I hit him up. I was like, "Would you like to draw the turtles again? First time in, you know what I mean, X amount of years, decades actually." And he was all in, and we did that cover. And the funny, cool thing is, like, on our variant for TMNT number 100, on the bottom right corner, because he knows I like Mondo Gecko. I've always been a
Oh,
fan of
yeah.
the Mondo Gecko. A skateboarding lizard, and
Right.
he drew me skateboarding with Mondo Gecko. So like, there's this little skater guy with the striped shirt skating with Mondo. So it's a little Easter egg,
That's
And,
awesome.
and
That
the
is
coolest thing
awesome.
is Peter Laird, who's co-creator of the Ninja Turtles,
Right.
actually he approved it, loved it. He
Oh,
was
wow.
that was like his favorite little tidbit. I like how you added that, and then Dave and them were telling him like, yeah, that's actually supposed to be the owner of the store and stuff like that. So for personal reasons, that's like my favorite variant we've done because it's really special. Just all the linkage that goes in between,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. And then everyone in the chat here, we got the link there. So if you want to go into metahumanscomics.com, you can definitely check it out. No,
Yeah, that's the cover.
That's
Yeah,
it,
so
right? Yeah.
yeah,
it's
that's
on the
See
bottom
if I can
right.
zoom in. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of see him right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm skating with Mondo. It's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
That is funny, dude. That's
That's
awesome.
really cool.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
it's this little Easter egg that's in there that people probably won't even catch it, but once they know what it is, they're like, "Holy shit!" They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
they'll catch it afterwards."
That's awesome.
Cool thing is that cover is actually a homage to the movie poster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
But now Jenica, the new turtle's coming out of the sewer. It's her time to come out of the sewer.
Right,
and join
yeah.
this. So pretty fun cover. Yeah, that was fun.
Absolutely.
What would you say is your I mean, you've been reading comics for pretty much, a very long time. What's your favorite character?
Man, I got a lot. I guess I go by like it's funny because my three favorite characters in Archie are Betty, Veronica, and Archie, and I got to work with them. And that's pretty exciting because like I get to like put a little stamp on you know what I mean? And then our awesome editor, Jamie Lee Rotante, shout out to her. She's actually the one who was writing Betty and Veronica before. So for her to be my editor and go back and forth with her was an honor. And I really enjoyed that process. She's super knowledgeable, super helpful. So I got to work with my favorite Archie characters. That's them right there. And then I guess I'd have to go by like different properties because I'm such a fan of all this stuff that like I don't
Yeah.
really have, you know what I mean? Like if you ask me like DC, I like Blue Beetle a lot, the Jaime Reyes, just because he's
Mhm.
Mexican
That
American, and
makes sense. Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
think that's so cool. I actually have a lot of the original Blue Beetle art. Like I was
Oh,
probably the only guy,
nice.
so I was getting them like a long time ago. So a lot of like the original Blue Beetle covers, I have those. So I'm actually like really excited for the film when it comes out when they're working on it. Right?
Yeah.
I really like obviously the Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles was a big part. I actually started skateboarding because of the Ninja Turtles. I know it sounds random, but it was the first movie where Donatello and they come out in the sewer and
You
they're
were on
that
skateboards.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
was my first time seeing a skateboard. It was that. It wasn't even like someone around my neighborhood or something. It was that, and I was like, "What are
In
they
that
doing?"
movie.
And I was looking at a turtle doing that, and then I wanted
Wow.
one, and then my first skateboard was actually a Ninja Turtle bootleg skateboard from a swap meet. Yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't even
That's
like a
funny.
real brand. It was a bootleg, so the turtles were miscolored. They were like
Yeah.
blue and like yeah, it was so bootleg. It's like it's probably worth a lot now because a lot of those Star
Oh
Wars
yeah.
bootlegs and all that stuff has a market. But yeah, like I have a long history with the Ninja Turtles. I have some like Ninja Turtle movie props. I'm like that big of a fan.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. That's really
Um,
cool. Yeah.
and then yeah, just super fan of that. And I actually have one of the props I have, but I haven't. It's like in a cargo container, but since I'm probably going to be moving, I don't want to take it out to wherever its final destination is. But it's Leonardo from the first movie, the
Yeah.
actual
Yep.
Leonardo. Yeah. So I haven't taken
Wow.
pictures of anything, but it used
Teenage
to be
Mutant Ninja Turtles were my first independent comic
yeah,
that I ever read
Mm.
when they were in Mirage. And
yeah,
I remember like my friend who was also into comics, and I was just getting into comics because of him, really. He was just like, you got there's these things with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they're pretty badass. They got like swords, and they got this bad guy by the name of Shredder, and it's black and white. I'm like, what? Yeah. And so, we started looking at all this stuff and like, man, this is great. And I remember the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic that I owned was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 5,
nice.
the reprint, the reprints with the who are they? The Triceratop guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
Triceratops.
Yeah, and that was the one that I wound up getting first, and then I started reading Tales of Teenage Mutant Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles. But
that
those
was a
were
good
my
series too.
those were my very first ones. But yeah, that was my first independent comic that I ever read.
That issue 5 that you have is credited as the first color Ninja Turtles, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Yeah.
Gotcha,
wow.
gotcha.
That was when they first had them in with the color and stuff.
Yeah.
Because number 4 was still black and white. Even the cover on number 4, it's like a greenish white.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and I have both. I have over the years I've managed to find an issue 5 first print,
Nice.
and then I have that second print. So
Did you ever get the first print of number 1 at some point? Or second, third print?
I have even I've seen a couple of like the printings down the road,
Yeah.
but I've
They got
never.
really expensive now.
Yeah, they're just incredibly expensive. But I remember though, like when those books were even really popular back then, but you couldn't find them because the print run was so low.
Yeah. I secured one a long time ago, and I actually had 2. I sold one, and one of them, the other one's never gonna get sold. I'm keeping it forever, but I do have one, and that's one of like my grails, and I'm just holding on to that.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I would
I'm not
never
even-
get rid of that either. That's
I still have it. It's graded and everything. It's like one of
Is it?
the yeah. It's. I think there's only. Oh man, I don't want to get it wrong. There's a low print. There's like I don't know if it's somewhere between 25 and 35 or something 9/8 in the world of that
Yeah.
book, and I do have one.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've
That's
had it
right.
for a long time, and so I've had it before the price bump went up, but I don't have to sell it. Actually, the other one that I had, I probably should have held on to it longer before I sold it. You know what I mean? Still sold it good, but probably should have held on to it longer. But I mean, hey, it's like that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's like you
Yeah,
never
it's always a
know.
risk. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to go higher, and the way comics have exploded lately, like it's just been insane.
Yeah. But I do have one, and that one's that one's one of my babies. You know what I mean? Holding on to that.
Yeah.
That's staying in the display.
So would you say that's your most prized comic then?
Yeah, that is without question my most
Yeah.
prized comic. Yeah, that one,
Yeah,
the
that makes
TMNT
sense, yeah.
one and 9.8 white pages. I mean, it's like there's so few of them. That one and I have a Swamp Thing one. It's the only one that's a 9.8 that CGC cert, because you know CGC has to witness it to give you the yellow label.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's signed by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson, and they both
Oh, nice.
unfortunately passed away. But they both
Right.
signed it, and it's a 9.8, so it's beautiful. You know, it's like historical. Every time I look at it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I have this too. You know, so
Yeah.
I guess those two are like my grails. You know,
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, congratulations on getting those. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I've had him for a while. Like I'm like such a super fan of things that like I'm not even buying it because it's like all those things. I wasn't even buying them when they were like, you know, as trendy as they are now. I got them a long time ago because I just genuinely like when I really like something, it could be super obscure and I'll just dive into it. Just even if I'm the only guy that like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
That's just who I am. Yeah. So
I think that's kind of the way like Brant and I collect too. Like we read a ton of comics, right?
Yeah.
And if something is worth something in the future, then that's a bonus, right?
It is, yeah.
You know, it's just like who would have ever thought that, like, for instance, like Ms. Marvel would be a popular comic book, or Spider-Gwen would be a popular comic book, but then
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I bought
I
bought that Marvel Spotlight book randomly. I don't know, going back already 7 years ago, I paid $8 for that book.
Wow.
$8, yeah. And now that book has just exploded, you know.
Oh, that book has super exploded. In our store 7 years ago when we opened, we had a first appearance of that Marvel Spotlight. It was Werewolf by Night, his first appearance.
Yeah, his first appearance is a Werewolf. I have a Marvel Spotlight with his first solo story.
Yes, the yellow cover.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So we had a Werewolf by Night priced at $100 in our glass display, right? This was like 7 years ago. It sat there for so long. Nobody touched it. Nobody bought it. Nobody wanted it. I mean, that book, it wasn't even graded or anything. It could have been pressed. I mean, the thing's probably worth like $1,000-something now, and like no one was even touching it for $100 back then with like a stick. And like eventually someone somewhere along the way bought it, obviously, but like it sold for super cheap. And like look at it now, like you can't like, it's just insane some of the things that take off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, even look at She-Hulk, for instance. I mean, the trailer dropped today, and just like, but even that. The original Savage She-Hulk issue 1 was not a very expensive book, and now it keeps going up in value. And even Sensational She-Hulk, that book was like a $5 book, and now even that book is jumping up in price.
Yeah, those you used to be able to find those 9.8s on that Savage She-Hulk 1 signed by Stan Lee pretty frequently. There was a couple of them signed by Stan that had high grades, and you're right, that thing just boosted in price. I still need to watch that trailer. I actually haven't seen the She-Hulk trailer, but I'm looking for. I watch everything that's superhero related. So
yeah.
I watch everything though. Like even if they say it's bad, I just watch it.
That's the way I am. Kat's more. She's pickier than I am, but yeah. I tend to watch it all.
Sometimes if they say it's really bad, I just want to watch it more. I'm just like
just to see how bad it is. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people say things are really good, and I watch it. I was like, that wasn't really that good. You know, it's also the flip side too. You know. So.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. So what we're going to do real quick, I think we're going to continue our show, but the one thing that we wanted to ask you is we're going to dive in real quick. We usually do this towards the end, but we wanted to do this segment with you of what your most anticipated comics are for next week, because I'm assuming you still read comics, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what are your top 3 books that you're looking forward to coming out this week?
Well, I always have I know I own a store, so some people think it's all just, but I genuinely read them as well. I mean, I actually just read the final issue of The Last Ronin because I've been following that series
Oh yeah,
And
somebody in our comments asked what you thought about that actually.
yeah, I dug it. I mean, I'll say this: boy, did they take a long time for those issues to come out. They really
Yeah,
showed
they
that
did.
I'm sure they lost some interest from some people from taking too long on them, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. As you know, I don't know how much I should say. There's a spoil. Have you guys read that one yet or no?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we have.
Well, I mean, I don't really know if this is a spoiler or not, but I was gonna say something about like the little turtles at the end. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, like, but that piques my interest. You know what I mean? And I'm just curious if like because issue 2 in that run is first appearance of Casey Marie Jones, and if that will spike because she obviously is kind of the one that continues the legacy, right?
Yeah.
So that last run in number 2, I'm curious if after number 5 ended, if that's a thing where you know what I mean. Could that be a bigger key down the line? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, it could be. I mean, like you could say that, like, in the future it'd be like issue 5, first image of future turtles, and these
Yeah.
4 new turtles. Like, say if it does become something in the future, which I think it would, just because I could see a lot of people piquing people's interest in that.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
what would you think their 4 names would be?
Yeah, some other painters, some other
Yeah.
painters' names. I know,
Yeah.
it's funny you're saying that, but I actually kind of I was kind of thinking that like how would they carry on after this? Like, what would be the other painters' names, or maybe some other historical figures from that time frame? That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, would they move on from the Renaissance and like do like more modern, artists
Yeah,
or something like that? Yeah,
yeah,
That would
be
be
cool.
kind of cool though. Modern
Right?
day artists. That would be cool. I'm hoping that they do something like that, get
Yeah,
them the next generation of turtles or something like that. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, they're doing a great job too on the I mean, even based like on like you're saying, like what 3 books I look forward to. I mean, I'm really liking that IDW run,
yeah.
just the ongoing. I'm really digging it. But I don't know, just turtles in general. I mean, I've been such a fan that I just kind of read everything that they put out and just kind of follow it along like that.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think that's like their big. Well, I don't know. Let's see, because IDW, the GI Joe stuff has been going on for quite some time too. Actually, now they're pretty far along with that as well.
I think
But
they're wrapping up their run on that because where's it
yeah.
going back to? It's going to Skybound, I think. Or
Yeah, it's going by Skybound. All that.
yeah,
Most of that IDW property stuff is going to Skybound eventually.
yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting, right? I just
Yeah.
saw that too. I also saw that Marvel lost the Conan, right? They lost the Conan.
yeah,
license.
yeah. That I think they just announced that like today or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's cool. So Turtles is one. What else?
Yeah.
Anything
So I
from
think,
Marvel or DC?
yeah. So usually, I think Turtles is like on issue 129 coming up, I think.
Yeah.
And I usually always pick up like Kevin Eastman covers,
Mhm.
like for the PC. And then I know there was a new Elvira book coming out, right? Elvira in Horrorland, something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
from
Oh wow.
Dynamite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a number 1 issue, and Dynamite always has like a ton of covers, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
But the books they're funny, they're silly. There's always like who's the artist? I think his name's John Royal. He was doing all the GI Joe
Oh yeah.
covers. Usually has
Right.
cool cover art. I haven't seen the cover to his yet on that one, but I saw that he was doing a cover, and yeah, probably that one sounds fun. And it's a number 1, and you're not really like lost. And I haven't followed the other one, so kind of just start from scratch, right? So Turtles, that, and snap. What else was really I mean, because Ronin just ended. What else was I reading right now? I mean, I usually just get the Archie anything that Archie puts out, like the jumbos, because sometimes they'll put reprinted stories and they'll re-release them,
Mhm.
And there's a book coming out that Archie has, which has the first appearance of a new character, but that one's not out yet. So usually just that, like one of the Archie jumbos, just for some entertainment, just read. I like reading the old stories too.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't aware, but a lot of those they're like a hybrid of old and new. They'll reprint stories that existed before, and they'll mix them, and they'll add like 1 or 2 new stories.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually getting like new content in those books.
Gotcha.
And they pack a punch because they have a lot in them. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. We have one of our commenters ask any opinions on Sonic.
Where are we at on Sonic right now? What issue is it at?
I don't know.
I don't know because I currently don't read Sonic.
Right.
So
Me
you
either.
know.
You know what's interesting about Sonic is I actually just watched the first Sonic movie. I had not seen it. I just saw it, and it was good. I liked it.
It was a lot better than I thought it would be.
Movie. Yep, absolutely.
There's the that's the John Royal variant, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool, that's cool. Man. I like that.
Yeah, he kills it on the art. He's very man, I forgot where I read this. I think he went to like him and like he's like from that camp of like what J. Scott Campbell and who are the other ones? Is it like Scott Williams or I don't want to get the names wrong, but there's a group of those guys where they used to work together, and it's kind of sort of why they all have a similar style. You know?
Okay, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Okay.
Kind of like Paul Green kind of draws like them too. You know, Paul Green over at like Cinescope, and like they all kind of have a similar style, and I dig it. But I always felt like Royal put a little bit more detail, and Campbell usually sometimes he'll just do kind of like the pin up the character. But John Royal, you'll see him like get in there with like the GI Joes, and you'll have like the weapons and a snowmobile, and like,
He's done quite a few. Some of those GI
I always like
this
GI
are absolutely phenomenal. Like really, really good. You know,
I agree.
Yeah. And speaking of GI Joe, that the classified the figure line from Hasbro, that's super awesome too. I don't know if you guys aware of those, but those figures are really cool. They do a good job on them. They give you a lot of accessories because I guess since that's their property, they don't have to pay for the licensing, so they don't short you on weapons, and you know what I mean. So that's why when you see those GI Joe classified figures, they got like 3 holsters and a place to put the sword and a pistol and
those are cool.
And, like, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yo, let's go, Joe.
You talking my language now. I'm a huge GI Joe fan. If you can't tell, I got this big Scarlet statue.
Oh hell yeah, that's the Bishuju, right?
Yeah.
Nice. There's a color variant of that too, but I like the OG one you got.
Yeah. I saw the color variant too, but yeah, I
think that one's gone up in value because that's the OG color one, you know.
Right.
I'm looking forward to the Don Moreno that they're gonna put out. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
One of my favorite comics right now is the GI Joe Saturday Morning Adventures.
Oh
yeah.
That is fun.
That's a really fun.
It's
comic.
A nice throwback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then I mean, you still got Larry Hama's still involved with the original GI Joe, which is incredible because Larry. I mean, how many books can you think of where the OG writer, you know what I mean, OG like
still
artist
involved.
is still that's crazy, you know, and he's
you just don't see that.
No. I mean, like very few names like Terry Moore or something, something like that, have done those long runs.
Yeah, Hama's he's a cool dude. I've met him in person. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I've done an interview with him. I haven't met him in person, but yeah, he seemed really cool then too.
Yeah, he's one of our one of the legends that we still got out there right now that we should appreciate while he's still here. Because I mean, rest in peace. We just lost George Perez and Neil Adams. It's like two icons, two big icons. And I used to see. George Perez. This is unfortunate, but I was supposed to go to MegaCon, right before the pandemic hit, and the pandemic hit, and I had to cancel the flight and all that stuff. But I was actually going to MegaCon for a Diamond Retailer Summit, and my purpose to go to the show was to get a Signature Series book and meet George Perez, and that ended up not happening. And then he canceled his CGC signing when it happened, also because of health, and I just felt so bad for him because it's like he's such a nice guy, and like he was so like. I mean, there was this thing where he was like, he just wanted to go to the show and he just wanted to just hug his fans. Like he doesn't even care like about, you know what I mean? He just wanted to enjoy moments and
I've met him too because he lived. I mean, he's here in Florida where I live.
Yeah,
like his town is my town, and I met him in This is going back a few years now, but there used to be a shop in the mall, local mall that I go to. And I met him, and he signed a bunch of Superman comics that I have. And yeah, you were right. I've never met a more genuine and nicer guy than George Perez. I was like,
Yeah.
this man loves his job, you know?
Yeah,
Mm.
the smile.
Took his time to talk to you. Didn't care how long the line was. He wanted to make sure that he had enough time with me. And I will always remember that, man. It was so, so good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I've never had the pleasure. I was at one show with him, and the one opportunity I had to like go around and get stuff signed or whatever, he had like this huge line, and I didn't have time to wait in it, unfortunately. So
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I didn't get. I was taking initiative to go meet him, and obviously,
Yeah.
apparently, it didn't happen. But I
Right.
was wanting to in person. And then Neil Adams is just a force in himself. I mean, that man with business and everything that he did, his work. I mean, he was working like all the time. He never stopped. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Neil Adams was
Yeah.
on it all the time. And also, shout out to Neil's son Joel too. He's always supported Metahumans, our store. He's always been a
Nice.
supporter. The whole family's awesome. And I actually did get to speak with Neil numerous times. We actually had a booth close to him at LA Comic Con one year, and I got to speak with him about just like business and sales and stuff like that, because he always had this really cool booth where it was like his booth. It was like the Neil Adams booth, and like
Yeah.
you just go there and just in awe just of all the work he has in there. And he was just not just a great artist, but because a lot of times we'll have some artists, but they might not be might not be like the best salesman, or they just want to draw and worry about that. And Neil had it all, man. Like he was like negotiating and like and I do a lot of different business and stuff, so I looked up to Neil in that aspect and just seeing like, man, he's multifaceted, multi-talented, like just a force. It reminded me a lot of like Stan Lee, like the age
Yeah.
that Stan was and the amount of energy that man had. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I would think of Stan like on a day where I feel like I'm kind of like dreary or slow, and then I think like, man, Stan's looks like he got more energy than I do, and he's like, you know what I mean? He's like 80 something at that time or 90 something at that time, and he's like, you know what I mean? And his joggers.
I think that's just the generation, man. I'm like, those guys are just like go-getters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wild. It's but yeah, those guys, they should be on the Mount Rushmore of comics. Respect to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Legends.
Well, we're going to give you what we're kind of looking forward to this week.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We have 3 comics, and Brant, we'll go with yours. So what are your 3 comics that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so Earth Prime's Stargirl. It's a Stargirl issue. It's a one CW show I kept up with. I fell behind on all the rest of them, but I really enjoyed that show, and it's tying into the show, so I'm going to check that one out. And then Savage Avengers.
Nice.
We've talked about David Pepos is writing it. He's known Cat for years, and he's a cool guy. I've talked to him once, I think, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with Avengers, and finally finding out what in the world they're this whole secret with Thor's secret origin is. Hopefully they'll reveal it in that book. And then Nightwing 92, they're getting back to the story with his sister and Blockbuster and all that. So it's been a long time coming for that particular arc. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So then mine, I have Thor issue 25. We got that continuation of the Banner War situation. So we're going into the second part of that. First one was like a big brawl that was totally insane. But you got a little bit of kind of like what happened in El Paso, Texas. You found out that the Hulk actually killed at least 17 people, but he doesn't remember why. So, but that fight was crazy, crazy awesome in that first issue. And then my number 2 is World's Finest, issue 3. So you got the Batman, Superman, Supergirl. You got Tim Drake in there. It's like a mini DC universe of almost like how DC kind of used to be. That's what it kind of reminds me of, old school universe. And I love Dan Moore's artwork in that book. It's so well done. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Always love his work.
And then my number 1 most anticipated, and it was delayed last week, and now it's coming out this week, is Life Zero issue 4. That book is awesome. I mean, Keto's artwork in that is amazing, but you know, it was like at first you thought it was this Walking Dead type of book, and then yes, it has Walking Dead elements, but then it can become so much more. Instead of them being in this farm town avoiding zombies, that are in the big city, and they got to rescue the daughter, and you know, their team is starting to kind of turn on each other, and it's just intense. It reminds you of like a horror movie where you're walking around the corner and then it's a jump scare that happens. It's a beautiful book. I love that series so much. I don't even know how many issues is it. Do you know if it's like an ongoing or a mini series, Ruben, by chance?
Isn't that one a mini series?
I thought it was, but it doesn't have it. For me, it doesn't seem like it has a definitive ending on it.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I thought that one was a mini series.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It doesn't say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought it was 6 issues, but I could be completely wrong off of that. But it's intense. It's a roller coaster ride. I mean, I love that book. It's so well written and it's so well drawn. And some of these indie comics are just really hitting it out of the park right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, I think they just sometimes, a lot of the times, the indie comics just don't really have as much of a restriction on certain things. You know what I mean? So they go a little more all out. You know, like I'm writing my own. I'm creating my own IP right now. So I actually have my own independent book I'm working on right now, and I could just go to the wall on that one right now. You know what I mean? There's really no restriction on that one. Stuff is a little more just heavier in terms of things that happen in it. You know what I mean? So a lot of times those indie books, you know, it's there's some surprises in them for sure.
Absolutely. Are you gonna pitch that around? You self-publishing? How are you doing that?
Yes. So actually, if all goes well with it, I'll reach out to you guys and we'll like announce it on here or something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
More than welcome to come back on the show for sure.
Script is finished as of 3 a.m. last night, actually.
Nice.
So I actually finished it. This is like a new. So my interior artist already has it, and he's already started to work on it. We had a little meeting today, so the process has begun. But yeah, he started to get to work on it already, and as it unravels, I'll let you guys know, and we'll go over that. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I've been working on that for a while. Yeah, so
very cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right, Ruben. Well, thank you for being on the show today. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, thanks. I'm a fellow viewer listener, so I appreciate everything you guys do. I know it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? You guys do a fantastic job. We're all fellow comic brethren. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
All of us like-minded. I mean, you guys could talk about one thing, and I just kind of like join in, geek out. You know what I mean? Just on even level with you guys. You know what I mean? I think that's really cool because, I think that's what a lot of us take to join. You know, when we go to conventions and stuff like that, we enjoy it because we're in a room full of people that like the same stuff that we do. You know
exactly.
We're all like-minded in that aspect. You know,
it's kind of amazing how long you can talk to somebody about all these characters and all these books, you know?
Yeah.
Real quick, I had a garage sale recently and I sold, a lot of my books, and a lot of people that, knew my channel came to come see me, and we must have talked 2 hours straight about just whatever, and it's just insane. It's great. It's wonderful, and that's what's so great about this hobby.
Yeah, it's funny. A few years ago, my wife, who was my girlfriend or my fiance then, we were on a like family trip when we went to a casino, and she happened to be wearing like a comic book T-shirt that day, and we walked in and like this big like 6'4" security guard sees it and he's like, "Oh, you're into comics?" And he starts asking us all kinds of questions like, "I just got into them. Where do I start with Avengers?" and all this stuff. So we had like this 20-minute conversation with the security guard just right before we even got in the place. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
All right, Ruben. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you soon, and we hope that you'll be on the show very soon again.
Hey, you got it. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. June 15th, best Archie comic ever. It'll be out. I highly recommend it. You're going to want to scoop it up. It's a one shot, so you can't go wrong, you know. So exciting.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate all of you.
All right. Thanks,
Good
Ruben.
night.
Talk to you later.